Hi, my name is Stephanie Bishop, and I have metastatic breast cancer. Welcome to our podcast, Counting Our Blessings. The purpose of this podcast is to share my journey in ways that might be helpful to others going through breast cancer, and to share all of the ways that the Lord is at work through my journey. Everyone's cancer journey is different, but I hope this podcast will be helpful to you or a loved one. Our family counts our blessings each day and invites you to do the same.
One by one, side by side until the day is done. With open hearts and grateful minds, we share the moments that we find. Join us here where love is found. Every whisper, every sound, together we will always be. Count our blessings, you and me.
Hi, welcome to this special edition episode of Counting Our Blessings. I want to preface this episode by saying that this one is not for everyone. I know that many of you have become faithful followers, and we are so thankful for that. But today I'm going to be talking all about breasts and all about mastectomy. And so if that's not something that you are dealing with directly, you may want to look for our next episode instead of spending time watching this one. I intend this episode to be for anyone who is facing the choice of whether or not to get a mastectomy, and for friends and family members who may be going through the process with a loved one to make that decision. So that is why it's just me today. Jaden chose not to be a part of this episode because of the sensitive nature of what we're talking about. So let's get started. This is probably one of the most difficult decisions that you'll have to make when it comes to cancer care. Let me tell you a little bit about my journey, and then we can talk about some of the emotional tolls that it takes. When I was first diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2018, my cancer was in my right breast, and when they found it, it was the size of a golf ball. Because of the size and the location, I did not have an option to have a lumpectomy where they only took out the cancerous portion. Because of the size and because of the location behind my nipple, my breast surgeon oncologist recommended that I have a total mastectomy in my right breast. So I did not have the choice as far as whether or not to do a lumpectomy or not. So that's not something that I can speak to. The decision that I made, though, included having both breasts removed, which was a choice that I was given. I was faced with whether or not I wanted to have unequal symmetry, having one gone and one remain. My surgeon stressed to me that the risk of getting breast cancer in my non-affected breast was no higher than any of the rest of the population. Now, I will say that I tend to find myself, and I chuckle every time, I tend to find myself in that lower percentage where it can hardly ever happen to anyone. It usually happens to me. Case in point, my only risk factor for getting breast cancer was the fact that I had breasts and was female. So when they said that I had a risk of having breast cancer in my other breast that was the same as every other female, I knew to me that that was something that I was going to worry about. And so because of symmetry, but mostly because I didn't want to have to worry about having cancer come in that other breast, I decided to have a double mastectomy. In my case, it was something that my surgeon was willing to do, and most importantly, my insurance company was willing to pay for. There was also a part of that decision that my husband and I made together. Women, we have part of our sexuality, or at least the feeling of our sexuality, being in our breasts. And to have them be removed was something that my husband and I definitely wanted to make the decision together. After a lot of prayer, we decided that the intimacy that we shared in our relationship had nothing really to do with our breasts. And so the decision was almost easy for us, although I fully recognize that in some situations and for some people, it would have been incredibly difficult. After the surgery, I was in quite a bit of pain, as you can imagine. I think I had more pain associated with the mastectomy than I did, say, with my total hysterectomy. Part of that was because I was allergic to the adhesive that they had used to close my sutures. And so I had to have all of that redone several days after surgery, after it had all become inflamed, which was no fun. I think I was down for about 2 weeks. I had 4 different drains, lots of sutures, and like I said, quite a bit of pain for the first 2 weeks. I healed though, and afterwards had no complications whatsoever. I want to talk a little bit about reconstruction and why I chose not to. That was a decision that I had to make at the point when we decided to have the mastectomy. It wasn't something that I could decide later. My surgeon had explained that it was something that they had to prep for. If I wanted the reconstruction, they would have to prep during the mastectomy for that to be the case. It was kind of like a 2-part thing, even though having reconstruction would have been a second surgery. We decided not to have the reconstruction for a couple of reasons. The first being, my surgeon explained that if I were to have a reoccurrence of the cancer on my chest wall where my breasts used to be, having reconstruction and having implants on top of it would have made it difficult to detect the cancer. And because my kind of cancer, the invasive lobular carcinoma, was considered a sneaky cancer, meaning that it could lay dormant for years before it actually turned into something that was detectable, we decided that that was a huge worry that we weren't willing to take on. The other piece to that was, it goes back to the decision to take both breasts. And that was, we decided that our intimacy as a couple didn't depend on my breasts. I have a incredibly supportive husband who I have been married to. It'll be 22 years this coming August. And I can't imagine having to make this decision without him. He was just as supportive as I could have possibly imagined. And it was exactly what I needed. And I'm just so thankful that the Lord made me his partner and allowed me to experience that intimacy and that closeness and that faithfulness going through this with him. I'm not sure I could have done it any other way. So the decision to not have reconstruction was based on the risk of not being able to catch perhaps it soon enough if it were to reoccur. The fact that me and my husband were okay with not having breasts. And a third portion was, I had already been through so much. I had had a total hysterectomy. I had had 6 months of chemo, and I was looking at another month of radiation. And reconstructive surgery would have happened after that. And the recovery time was said to be significantly longer than what it was with just my mastectomy. And so I decided I didn't want to be down another 6 to 8 weeks, knowing that, you know, I would have to be down for that long. I just wasn't willing to put in that extra time. I was ready to get back to my normal life. So those were the reasons that we didn't have reconstruction. I want to talk a little bit about now. Now that I have lived without breasts for it's gone on 8 years now. Um, I don't regret the decision whatsoever. I know me, and I know that I would have worried every single day if I would have still had my one breast, or if I would have had implants that covered up what may or may not have been detectable. Um, I wear prosthetic breasts whenever I go out. I have special pocket bras that, hide the inserts. And other than not being able to wear deep V-neck shirts that, show a little bit of cleavage because I don't have any cleavage, um, I really don't have any issues with not like with my clothing. My clothing fits just fine, and I don't regret it from that perspective. I think the hardest part is swimming suit season. I have not yet found a swimsuit insert, or for that matter, a swimsuit company that really fits my needs. I have, I'm ashamed to admit how many swimsuits I have purchased, how many inserts I have purchased, and none of them seem quite right. And so swimming is the hardest part, I think, or the maybe the lasting impact that I have because I always, I think we as females we dread swimsuit season anyway, and I have an extra layer of dread because I know that the swimsuits that I would like to wear most of the time I can't because of the way my inserts fit, and even the swimsuits that I buy that I think will work or kind of work, I still end up tugging at and feeling uncomfortable in because I feel like um, maybe my inserts are obvious. Not that anybody is looking at me or looking at my breast, but you know how we are. We worry and we fret. I want to give a shout out to a company called Knit Knockers. They are an organization who partners with different knitters in local communities. And these ladies who knit together breast inserts. And you can sign up and get a pair for free. They're incredibly soft. They're adjustable. You can take out the padding on the inside to be as big or as little as you would like. And they were extremely comfortable and comforting to know that somebody had made them for me and had prayed over them as they were knitting them was incredibly comforting when I was going through it. Um, I think the last thing that I will say is, um, you know, people always say that when you have cancer, um, the scars that it leaves um, are forever. Like that it scars you forever. And I have to say that when I look in the mirror every morning when I take a shower, um, I don't ever for a second forget what I have been through. When I look at my chest, I see cancer and I see how it has deformed my body. And although although I don't regret any of the decisions that I have made, um, being a cancer survivor means that you are always affected by what cancer did. And in my case, what it did to my breasts. And so um, I guess what I want to say is that to me, it's okay to continue to um, not be okay with cancer and to not be, oh, I'm healed. Everything about me is fine. Although we may portray that to everyone in our day to day lives, um, every morning when I look in the mirror, I know that I am not the same as who I was. And I'd like to think overall I'm a better person because of the things that I've been through. But there is a part of me that's missing. And there's a part of my relationship with Lonnie that's missing. And that's not okay. But we survive. And so if you are someone who is going through it, you're not alone. We all still feel it. I'm 8 years out, even though I'm, metastatic now, but 8 years out from having lost my breasts. And I guess it's okay to not be okay, is one thing I want to say. Another thing that I want to emphasize is it's your decision. I made a decision that was best for me and my husband, and based on what my surgeon recommended. Every cancer is different, every body is different, and every person is different. And it is okay to make a decision that you feel is best for you. Whether or not you get a lumpectomy, whether or not you get a single mastectomy or a double mastectomy, whether you choose to have reconstruction or whether you choose to be flat. Any and all decisions that you make are okay because you are the one that has to make it and live with it. I'm okay with my choice, and I know you will be too. I think that's it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for journeying with me, and let's keep counting our blessings. God bless you.